We think Harvey Dent said it best.
You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Let's get real. Two-Face isn't the only comic character with a split personality. Plenty of heroes over time have gone on a mean streak. Like, remember that time Squirrel Girl destroyed over half the Marvel Universe? Okay, that didn't actually happen, but admit it, we had you there for a second. She's totally capable of doing that stunt as well. The point is, it's hard for a hero to stay good for their entire history. Everyone gets their one bad day eventually, and the Binger found the 15 best examples. First off, this thing is enough of a crime to earn a spot on this list. Technically though, that would make it a place for the scriptwriters of Wolverine origin. The real Deadpool is who we want to talk about. It's a simple argument. Look at the opening scene of his first film. He abuses henchmen like it's a video game. There's an entire comic series written on how he can destroy the Marvel Universe. The only thing stopping him from being full-on evil is his crush on Wolverine, but even that's a tentative relationship. He occasionally works with heroes to support his kid, but let's get real, Deadpool is only a superhero when he wants to be. No, we're not talking about the CW character's shady beginnings. Any business person with bank savings above $100,000 seemed to fail the city in the eyes of Ollie during that first season. But there's an even shadier time in his comic book history. Allow us to explain. During Justice League, A Cry for Justice, terrible title by the way, Oliver Queen tracks down the big villain Prometheus and, well… before he takes the shot though, Green Arrow tells the villain that he's not a hero, he's a hunter. See folks, he admitted it himself. As if the massive pile of bodies from seasons 1 and 2 of Arrow didn't already prove it. Crossover events all bring about significant changes to some of the more popular characters. There's a glaring example of this later in the list, but we want to focus on Daredevil. You know, the one with devil literally in his name. Think about what that says about Matt Murdock and his stance as a hero. This moral gray area hit home during the Shadowlands crossover. Daredevil became the leader of the Hand, which is an organization of assassins, not to be confused with Hamburger Helper. He used that power to finish off Bullseye in cold blood, and then muscled out heroes from stopping his calculated rampage. Okay, maybe he's actually the devil, you guys. You guys remember Bishop, right? He's the guy with the cool weapon in Days of Future Past. This dude. Okay, some of you just went, duh, yeah, we know Bishop, but a good portion of our audience just realized that character had a name. If you're looking for someone to blame the writers. We would say blame the editors, but one of them controls this video, so we're gonna say writers. Certainly not voice actors. Back to Bishop. In the comics, he's a significant part of the time travel plots in X-Men. He's dedicated to his mission of avoiding his future. So dedicated that he tries to do the War Machine method of time travel. That is evil, doomsday or no doomsday. Professor X is supposed to be the shining light for all the mutants out there. His school is a beacon to the oppressed. But the Binger ain't falling for that shtick. Not that we're a Magneto was right channel, but we just don't buy the narrative that Charles Xavier is pure good. If anything, Xavier is chaotic good, but that means he occasionally does terrible things with good intentions. Remember Jean Grey? He seems too attached to her given her young age. You know what we mean. Plus, we all know how that turns out. Then there's the whole Logan incident, and that's just the films. He manipulates minds in the comics and changes people's entire lives for his own benefit. That's just evil. Alright, we need to chill out. Who's next? Well, it looks like we're not relaxing anytime soon. John Constantine is a petri dish of evil shenanigans. They speckle his entire series, but that's also what makes his comics so interesting. The guy's so borderline. He lives to create both good and evil triumphs. The problem with Constantine is he's selfish. He let Keanu Reeves play him and didn't even bother to make the movie enjoyable. On top of that, one moment in the comics just further proved it. He pushes two sorcerers, Sargon and Zatara, to sacrifice their lives. All so he doesn't have to sacrifice himself. He's the epitome of always looking out for numero uno. Samuel L. Jackson taking on the mantle of Nick Fury was a total makeover for the character. Some people may not know this, but Fury was seen as a corrupted hero by that point. Everybody knew he was capable of making big mistakes due to the lack of oversight, like the time he destroyed the Watcher and threw the Marvel Pantheon into disarray over a perceived threat. Comic book Nick Fury uses a battering ram instead of diplomacy far too often. For a long time, he created a lot of the conflicts in Marvel that the superheroes would clean up. It even happens occasionally in the MCU. The only difference is it's Samuel L. Jackson delivering the lines, so we forgive him. Damian Wayne is the love child of Batman and Talia al Ghul, which we instantly regret saying. Anyways, we seriously need to get off that topic before we get nauseous. This entry is supposed to be about Damian Wayne, the latest Robin in the Bat family. He's a rebel without a cause, and a dark child with a bit too much villain in him. He served in the League of Assassins. You don't make it through that group without doing some bad stuff. On top of that, he almost eliminated the old Robin, Tim Drake. So yeah, Damian Wayne is keen for his age, but he's also a little bit evil. He gives us Major Omen vibes.
What's the matter, Damian?
Batman uses his code of conduct to keep him on the side of good. He holds his one rule in such high regard that viewers are meant to trust him to do the right thing. All that gets thrown out the window the minute something wrong happens to him. Just look at Batman v Superman. Their depiction of the Caped Crusader is not heroic. He's way closer to a villain because he breaks his one rule. It's easy to point out that blind spot. Look at the comics though, like Tower of Babel. Batman's decision to outline his allies' weaknesses gets used against them all. He breaks his team's trust by doing that. He causes the conflict, and that makes him partially responsible. This guy? Evil? No way. Rorschach is one of the lawful good characters in a graphic novel about heroes obeying law and order. In all seriousness, it feels a bit cheap to call Rorschach a hero. He's chaotic neutral at best, and the new Watchmen series proves his moral grayness even further. Look at his therapy sessions in the comic. That was Alan Moore's way of telling us you can't do these things and be sane. Yes, he punishes terrible people, but he doesn't know where to draw the line. For Rorschach, there is no code. He simply repays evil with evil. His whole world is black and white, so it's odd that he operates in the gray area. The Punisher series is what we like to picture an action version of Saw would look like. It's what would happen if Die Hard and John Wick decided to merge together and forgot about laws. His television show only further proves the point. At best, the Punisher is a sellsword. He does tend to work for the police force and other governing agencies, but his methods are gruesome. Frank Castle lost his sympathy for bad people a long time ago. At the end of the day, heroes are even scared to cross paths with him. That alone is a sign that he's not a nice person. Also, when working for the law, he becomes the judge, jury, and executioner. Remember that time Cyclops had his character arc end off-screen? The Binger remembers, and will never forgive. If you only watch the X-Men movies, then you'd probably think Cyclops is some B character with a flat story. You'd be correct, but that's because you're being misled again. Cyclops is a colossal force in the comics. For a long time, he's been considered the de facto leader of the X-Men. He commands a presence in every panel he's in. However, one storyline sees him possessed by the Phoenix Force and becoming the Dark Phoenix. And you know what happens next. Whenever there's a Dark Phoenix arc, Professor X gets a trip down memory lane. Anytime you get this Canadian rage machine in a bar, things are bound to go wrong. But even ordinary people get in pub fights on occasion. Heck, even the gentleman of Kingsman will occasionally toss a beer glass at somebody. Wolverine has done a lot worse than pick on some rude bikers, though. Remember that whole War Machine method of time travel that we marked Bishop down for? Yeah, it turns out Wolverine has done that a few times in his X-Men run. He's the chosen one for eliminating child threats that spell out a doomed future. Wolverine and catastrophes always mean time travel solutions. And we all know it's not to get his hands on some Infinity Stones. You know how people do that whole body count thing for the Taken and John Wick films? Yeah, we recommend you don't do that for any Hulk movies. If we count civilians for that scene, we'd probably already top the number for any John Wick movie. They just don't show them on screen. Plus, it's even worse in the comics. One time, they end up kicking the Hulk off the planet Earth because the problem's getting so bad. They took this dude to outer space. Even the Punisher is allowed to hang around despite his numbers. Sure enough, though, the Hulk finds his way back to our little green-blue marble. What does he do? Oh, yeah, he tries to take over the whole planet. Captain America is the Boy Scout of the Marvel Universe. No other hero is as pure good as him, except for maybe Squirrel Girl. Steve Rogers truly stands for truth, justice, and the American way. Well, the right parts of America at least. We kind of need to amend that one though, right? Unfortunately, he ended up representing all the bad parts of the world in a comic book event like no other. Secret Empire saw Captain America whisper those infamous words that shook the internet to its core.
Hail Hydra.
He became the leader of Hydra and then took over the world with brute force. Talk about a real 180. It's a superhero you'd never expect that from. It just took a cosmic rewrite to make it happen. Don't worry, there's still good in the world, somewhere. Did you have a superhero in mind? Tell us in the comments below. Keep an eye out for new content by liking this video and subscribing to The Binger. Special thanks to all our subscribers out there enjoying daily content.